Alright, I was going to do a quick video here of how to start our newest project here. This is inventor drawings of the toy train. I just posted here this morning, November 8th. This is the train. The train is made up of 9 parts. Today we're going to look at the main train body. So as we do this, everything is going to attach to this body. So all the other 8 parts, which we'll talk about later, are going to attach to the body of the train. Alright, so here we are. We're back in Inventor. We have our part drawing open. I'm ready to create our first sketch. I'm just going to pick a plane to work on. That's going really slow. And we'll come back here and we'll check out the specs for the train. So really what we're going to do is we're going to do this in two extrusions to get the rough shape. The first extrusion is going to be looking at it from this direction. So what we really have is a rectangle with a circle that's kind of on top of the rectangle. So that's kind of in simplest terms. We know that this rectangle is 2 inches long. I'm getting that dimension from right here. We know that the rectangle part of it is 0.875 high. So let's go ahead and get that part drawn. I grab my rectangle tool. I'm going to go to my tab key, 0.875, enter. Alright, I'm going to hit my home button here so I get a good zoom view of it. Back here. Okay, so we're not done. We're not ready to complete the sketch yet. We still have to draw that the circular feature, like where the boiler of the train. So this is what I'm talking about. So the first thing we have to do, since this is a circle, is we have to find the center of the circle. So we know that it's centered left to right. I got that dimension from right here. And we know that the center of this circle is 1.375 up from the bottom of the rectangle that we already drew. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to come back here with our line tool. We're going to find that green dot. There it is. And we're going to come up 1.375. Okay, that's the guideline that we're going to use. We're going to come up here. You can do this 2 ways. You could create an arc, or you can use a circle and cut it down later. I'm going to use a circle in this case. There's no real wrong answer. But we do have to remember is that since this is an arc, this is given as a radius. A circle is given as a diameter. So our radius is going to be doubled. So 0.75 times 2 is 1.5. So whenever we draw on a circle, because we're talking about diameter, we have to double the radius because they gave us the radius. So 1.5, enter. Okay, so now I'm ready to clean this up. To clean this up, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit escape. It's going to drop my circle tool. I'm going to delete my guidelines. The next tool that I'm going to use is called a trim tool. Trim tool allows us to get rid of part of a line. Click trim. It's going to say, what do you want to get rid of? That. Okay? And let's go back here and just kind of quickly verify that we did what we needed to do. And we did. We have to trim one more line, and that's this one. So now we have the basic profile of the front of the train. Let's click back over here, and we can see we only want to go back to right here for now. So let's figure out what that is. Looks like the whole thing overall is 5.5, and then this is 175. So 5.5 minus 175. Now instead of pulling out a calculator, I'll finish that sketch. Instead of pulling out a calculator, we can do our math right in Inventor. So we want to go, I hit my extrude tool, I've selected the profile, and I want to go 5.5 minus, I forget that dimension already, 5.5 minus 175, minus 1.75. And I'm just typing the mathematical equation right in there. And now we have something that we can start building the rest of the train with. So what we have drawn is just back to here. So now we're going to create another sketch, and we're going to extrude that sketch towards us. So let's work with this view of the train here so that we know what we're talking about. We got some work to do here. And let's Doesn't really matter because our train doesn't really have a front or a back yet. But let's pick one side to start working on. So if we come back here, we're ready to look at some dimensions. So we know that this is centered left to right. I got this dimension. So the center of this little hole is 0.375 up. So let's put that in. So centered left to right. Get my green dot. We'll go 0.375. Okay. So now we're ready to grab our arc tool. Our arc tool is up here. We want to go a 3-point center point arc. And I forget the dimension because that's how I roll. The radius, now since we're drawing an arc, we don't have to double that this time. So the radius is 0.235. So we'll come back here and we'll type that in 2.35, not 0.235. Enter. I'm just going to scribe that arc. So I know I got more arc than what I actually need on there, but that's okay. So we're looking back here. We're going to figure out what we need to draw next. We need to come up to the center of this hole, which is 175. So we need to finish boxing in our arc. I hit the pause button there because I was scratching my head trying to figure out the next step. So doesn't really matter. We just know that we want to come up here to this one. And we want to come over. And I know that these lines, but the angles of the lines are more important than the lengths of the lines right now. Because what we're going to do is we're trying to box this guy in. Right here. Now we're ready to do our trim. We'll trim this, we'll trim this, we'll trim this. So now what we have is, drop my trim tool, let's delete this line just so there's no craziness going on. We can delete this line. So now what we have is the back profile of the train. We're ready to extrude out for that cab. So I'm going to grab my extrude tool. And I forget the dimension again. That dimension is from right here, 175 from the back of there. So let's extrude that out. 1.75. No math that time. There we go. So now we're ready to do some other things. We've got to put in the hole for the back. We've got to put for the little engineer's cab, and we also have to put in the hole for the lynch peg there where the cars will connect. So let's work on those things. Let's do the engineer's cab first. So we're coming here, we're looking at it from the side. And what we're seeing is that the center of this circle, this half circle, is up 175. All right, so it's up 175. So we're going to come up here, we're going to draw our line up 1.75. Enter. Now, I see a common mistake here that a lot of people make is they try to put this circle right at the edge of this. But what we can see is that this circle is actually indented into the cab just a little bit. So it's in 0.25. So let's come in 0.25. And again, I'm making sure that I got my 90 degrees whenever I go in there. So 0.25. All right, now we're ready to go our circle. I can't remember that dimension. It has a radius of 0.5, so I want to draw it as a circle. It's just how my brain works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it a circle of 1 inch. Grab my circle tool, make sure that that is on there, and say 1, enter. Okie dokie. So now I'm ready to clean some stuff up. I'm going to hit my escape tab, get rid of these guidelines here and here. I'm going to come up here, I'm going to trim that part of my circle out. I need to then grab my line tool, and I need to come out here, and I need to come out. You can see, whenever it gives us that little line thing there, that's whenever you know you're in the right spot. escape, drop my tool, trim. Let's trim this guy up there. Trim this guy up there. And then what I need to do is draw one final line to connect everything. I want to connect that down through here. If I can get my zoom level right there, and then finish the sketch. Now I'm ready to extrude. I want to extrude. I want to change this to cut. Cut. And I want to go all. That cuts that the whole way through. Now what we have is the back of the train car. One more little kind of detail we need to add is we need to add that hole. So we're going to wait for our center. Oh, I forget how far up that is. 0.375. 0.375. So make sure 90 degrees, 0.375. Enter. Whoops. Wrong direction. So it happens even whenever I'm doing these kind of videos here. 0.375. Enter. Alright, there we go. There we go. So I'm going to hit escape. Now, can I make a hole two ways? This is kind of the last kind of takeaway, and I'm running out of time on this video because I want to keep it under 15 minutes. We can do this two ways. We can make a circle and extrude that circle, or we can finish our sketch, and we can come back out here and we can use the hole feature. I want you to use the hole feature for this. So now there's a couple of different kinds of holes that we can use. We want this kind of hole. And we want it to be right there. And again, I can't remember my dimensions. Okay, so here we go. Here's our symbol. So these symbols, this circle with the line through it means diameter, and the arrow down means depth. So it's a 1/4 inch in diameter and a 1/2 inch deep. So let's go ahead and spec that in. It's already at 1/4 inch. We want to change that to distance. And we want to go, I forget it again. We want to go 1/2 inch deep, 1/2 inch deep. So not 1 inch, we want to go 0.5. Enter. And there we go. We are ready to do the last and final step, and that's fillet the edges. So we have nice round edges. Double check our fillets, our fillet dimensions on this. It should say somewhere on here. Oh, there we go. All rounds and edges are 0.1 except for the holes. So we'll change this to 0.1. And then we're going to come here and we're going to grab all of these edges so that the kiddies, if this were a real train, would not hurt their little fingers as they went. I'm not going to make you watch me do that. You see what's happening here. I'll click OK on this so you can see exactly what it looks like is finished. Now, obviously, I didn't do all the edges yet, but I'm working through them. Last step is to save and then complete the document.